In 1982, the Soviet-controlled streets of Estonia became the hunting ground for a man whose crimes would shock the nation. At first, the murders seemed random, isolated cases of brutal violence in a country where such crimes were rare. But as the truth emerged, the reality was far darker than anyone could have imagined. The man responsible was Johannes-Andreas Hanni, a disturbed individual whose desires went beyond murder. Johannes didn't just take lives, he mutilated, and at least in one instance cannibalized his victims. But he was not acting alone. His wife, Pille Hanni, stood by his side, not just as a witness, but as an accomplice who helped him plan, lure, and attempt to cover up his crimes. Together, they formed one of Estonia's most terrifying criminal duos. By the time authorities caught up with them, 3 people had already lost their lives in ways too horrific to comprehend. And before justice could be served, Johannes-Andreas Hanni made a final, shocking decision that left Estonia with more questions than answers. It's the story of Johannes-Andreas Hanni, the cannibal killer who terrorized Estonia, the gruesome details of his crimes, and how his reign of terror finally came to an end. See, in the early 1980s, Estonia was under Soviet control, a period marked by strict government oversight and limited personal freedoms. The Soviet Union portrayed itself as a society free from serious crime, especially violent acts like murder. This made the emergence of a serial killer within Estonia not only shocking, but also deeply unsettling for both the authorities and the public. And during this time, Estonia was experiencing significant social and demographic changes. The Soviet regime had implemented policies that led to an influx of immigrants from other parts of the USSR, altering the ethnic composition of the population. Before World War II, ethnic Estonians made up nearly 90% of the country's population. By 1990, this figure had dropped to about 60% due to mass deportations and the settlement of non-Estonians. This shift caused tensions and a sense of cultural erosion among native Estonians. The Soviet authorities were keen on projecting an image of a harmonious and orderly society. They controlled information tightly, suppressing news that could suggest instability or disorder. Violent crimes, especially those as gruesome as the ones committed by Johannes-Andreas Hanni, were considered anomalies that didn't fit the state's narrative. This likely contributed to initial hesitancy in acknowledging the severity and pattern of the murders. In this environment of repression and control, the emergence of a serial killer was not just a criminal issue, but also a significant challenge to the Soviet state's image. The authorities were unprepared for such a scenario, and their response was hampered by the very system that sought to deny the existence of such societal problems. This context is crucial to understanding both the public's reaction and the official handling of Hanni's case. As we delve deeper into this chilling story, we'll explore how Hanni's actions shattered the facade of Soviet societal harmony and forced a confrontation with a darker reality lurking beneath the surface. Born on March 24, 1957, in the town of Valga, Estonia, Johannes-Andreas Hanni entered the world overshadowed by strict religious doctrines and rigid discipline. His father, Jan Hanni, was a Baptist minister, a figure who commanded respect and authority within their community. However, behind the closed doors of their household, this authority manifested as severe control and, according to Johannes, harsh treatment. The young boy's upbringing was devoid of warmth and nurturing, replaced instead with an environment where strict adherence to religious principles was enforced. This oppressive atmosphere sowed seeds of deep resentment within Johannes. As he transitioned into adolescence, his internal turmoil began to surface in outward expressions of defiance. He became increasingly aggressive, his behavior marked by violent outbursts that alarmed those around him. Petty crimes became a regular occurrence, leading to multiple encounters with law enforcement. These delinquent activities resulted in Johannes spending a significant portion of his teenage years confined within juvenile detention centers and reformatories. Rather than helping him, these institutions seemed only to deepen his disdain for authority and societal norms. During this period, Johannes developed a growing fascination with death and suffering. While his peers were contemplating their futures and exploring typical adolescent interests, Johannes was delving into darker territories of the human psyche. His thoughts became increasingly consumed by violent fantasies and disturbing scenarios that he would later attempt to bring to life. In an attempt to establish some semblance of normalcy, Johannes married Pille Hanni, a trolley driver, on December 11, 1981. The union was unconventional, marked by shared interests that deviated from societal norms. Johannes's fascination with control and dominance found a counterpart in Pille, who, rather than deterring his dark inclinations, became an accomplice in his later crimes. The dynamics of their relationship blurred the lines between love and complicity, setting the stage of the horrors that would soon unfold. Professionally, Johannes secured employment as a waiter at a Palace Hotel restaurant in Tallinn. To the unsuspecting eye, he was merely another employee, attending to guests and performing his duties without incidents. Yet, beneath this facade of normalcy, Johannes's mind was full of violent desires and fantasies, festering and awaiting an outlet. The culmination of years of internal conflict, unaddressed psychological issues, and a life marked by rebellion against oppressive authority led Johannes down a dark path. The stage was set for a series of events that would not only shatter the lives of his victims and their families, but also leave an indelible scar on the collective consciousness of Estonia. The transformation from a troubled youth to a notorious figure in criminal history was complete, and the world would soon bear witness to the depths of his depravity. As mentioned before, in 1982, Estonia was under Soviet control, and violent crimes were rare. However, that year, a series of brutal murders shocked the nation. Johannes, with the assistance of his wife Pille, committed 3 horrific murders that year. Hanni's first known victim was Elmar Vibo, a sailor from Saaremaa. On March 5, 1982, Hanni fatally stabbed Vibo. After the murder, he cut off a portion of Vibo's thigh, took it home and ate it. He later explained to his wife that he had a long desire to taste human flesh. The second murder occurred on May 23, 1982. Hanni targeted Ivan Sivitsky, a 75-year-old Belarusian grandpa living in Johvi. Hanni stabbed Sivitsky to death in his garden cottage sauna. After the killing, he mutilated the body by removing parts of it. In late July 1982, Hanni's violence escalated further. He encountered Yevgenia Koltsova, a middle-aged Russian woman who was picking raspberries in a forest. Hanni raped her and murdered her, leaving her body abandoned in the woods. By September 1982, Hanni and Pille planned another attack, this time targeting a taxi driver in Tallinn. On September 2nd, they lured Alari Kivi into a trap and attacked him inside his car. Despite sustaining serious injuries, Kivi managed to escape and reported the assault to the police, providing descriptions that led to the couple's arrest on October 2nd, 1982. These crimes revealed a level of brutality previously unseen in Estonia, shattering the nation's sense of security and exposing the dark depths of human depravity. During interrogations, Johannes displayed a chilling lack of remorse. He spoke about his crimes with a detached fascination, describing his actions in cold, detailed terms. He admitted that murder alone had never satisfied him. His true desires involved control, mutilation, and, in one instance, cannibalism. He recounted these acts without hesitation, showing no disgust or fear. Investigators realized they were dealing with a man who had crossed every imaginable moral boundary. The investigation also revealed Johannes' obsession with women's lingerie. He often wore bras and nightgowns during his violent acts, not as an expression of gender identity, but as a means to heighten his sense of dominance. This disturbing detail added another layer to his complex and twisted psyche. Authorities scrutinized Pille Hanni's involvement, questioning whether she was a passive observer or an active participant. Evidence indicated that she had helped plan at least one murder and was aware of her husband's violent tendencies. She also assisted in luring victims, including the failed attack on Alari Kivi. This painted a picture of a couple deeply entwined in a partnership of brutality. Before facing trial, Johannes made a final, shocking decision. On November 6, 1982, he was found dead in his prison cell, having taken his own life. By doing so, he ensured he would never face justice in a courtroom, leaving many questions unanswered and robbing the victims' families of their day in court. On the other hand, Pille Hanni did not escape justice. She was convicted as an accomplice and sentenced to nearly 12 years in prison. After her release, she changed her name and moved back to Finland, attempting to rebuild her life away from her dark past. However, in 2008, she published a book titled I Loved the Predator, detailing her life with Johannes. The book sparked controversy, with many accusing her of profiting from the horrifying crimes and questioning her portrayal of herself as a victim rather than a willing participant. The case of Johannes-Andreas Hanni left a deep scar on Estonia's history. His crimes shattered the nation's sense of security, revealing that unimaginable evil could exist even in the most unsuspecting places. His story serves as a chilling reminder that monsters can hide in plain sight and that the darkest desires can lurk beneath the surface of ordinary lives. The case of Johannes-Andreas Hanni forced Estonia to confront the existence of extreme violence within its borders, challenging the perception of safety and order that many citizens held. It also highlighted issues related to domestic violence, mental health, and the potential for darkness lurking beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary individuals. The Hanni case remains one of the most infamous in Estonian history, serving as a grim reminder of the capacity for human cruelty and an importance of vigilance in recognizing and addressing the signs of such behavior before tragedy strikes. To reflect on Hanni's story, it's crucial to remember the victims, those whose lives were tragically cut short and whose families were left with loss. Their memories stand as a testament to the enduring pain caused by such atrocities. In delving into this dark chapter of history, we are reminded of the importance of vigilance, empathy, and the continuous pursuit of understanding the human mind. Only through such reflection can we hope to prevent the emergence of future tragedies and foster a society rooted in compassion and awareness.